The Lawyers on WKYI TV 24 debate the issues, focus on the people and events making headlines, and deliver straight legal talk. Now, here's your host, Craig Hoffman.
Good to have you with us this week. Temperatures are cooling down in Kentuckiana, but the legal issues heating up. I'm Craig Hoffman. Good having you this week on The Lawyers. Let's go ahead and introduce our lawyers on the big table right here. Michael Sullivan, the founder of the Michael Sullivan Law Office, also an associate in his office. Patrick Hall joins us. And this week, we have personal injury attorney, criminal defense attorney, Mike Schafer joining us. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Craig. It's good for you to have me.
Well, good to have you with us this week. We got a lot of emails and some hot topics. Talk a little bit about the runner's law right here. It's a new law that goes into effect December 31st. Lawyers face possible $1,000 fine for soliciting auto accident victims within 30 days of the wreck, and lawyers could be disciplined if they do that. Mike, what about this new law? Good thing, bad thing, or what's it all about?
Well, I think it's a really good thing, Craig. The Kentucky Justice Association promoted the law and asked that it be passed. What's been happening is there's a lot of lawyers out there that are paying people to go to the accident scene, give them their card, and try to get the case that way while somebody is hurt and confused and doesn't know what is going on. So this law is to try to give a 30-day cooling off period where you can recover from your injuries and make the right choice as to whether you need to hire an attorney and which attorney that should be.
I know, Mike, you've practiced, you're a former prosecutor, you've practiced criminal law, of course, personal injury, and I have heard cases out there where it seems like within an hour or two after a major incident, there is a lawyer there with a form saying, we're going to take care of you. It just seems like they're like piranhas going after innocent victims.
It's a real problem, and it happens a lot with medical offices. You'll go into a medical office and they'll say, we have your attorney here, and an injured, somebody that's never been in an auto accident doesn't know what their rights are. They don't know that they have $10,000 of medical treatment available to them that can be paid. They don't know that they have the right to choose their own lawyer. A lot of people are just not in tune with what is happening to them, and they just go with the flow, and it's not always in their best interest.
Well, let's talk. Mike Schafer has been practicing in this town for a long time, available 24/7, auto accidents, you name it, wrongful death. He could do it all. Give him a call right now if you do have a question. You see the number on your screen, 502-565-4100. That's 502-565-4100, MikeSchaferLaw.com for a lot more information. We get emails here on the Lawyer Show, and we love our emails. We got one coming in from Susan in New Albany, and she writes the Lawyers. My husband was in a car wreck in June. We're having a hard time getting bills paid for his surgery, physical therapy, and lost wages. Outside of that, he has yet to return to work and may not until this fall. If he doesn't fully recover, would he be eligible for disability? Our insurance agent is great, but it is frustrating. But let's say it's everyday Joe Q public out there. They're hit, they suffer injuries like Susan in New Albany states. What do you do as a personal injury to assist them through this process?
Well, first off, in Kentucky or Indiana, each injured victim is entitled to have a certain amount of their medical bills paid, no questions asked. In Kentucky, there's $10,000 worth of PIP benefits, which your personal insurance company would pay to go to any doctor and be treated for anything related to the accident. The same thing in most Indiana insurance policies is called MedPay. That's usually between $3,000 and $5,000. After that is used up, that's where the real problem comes in, which looks like what Susan is going through right now. She has no medical insurance, and it makes it difficult to get those bills paid. And a lot of times you just have to wait until the case is settled, or hope that your attorney can find doctors that are willing to do the work and be paid out of the proceeds of your settlement or jury verdict.
We have another email coming into the lawyers here. This one is from Curtis in Louisville, an interesting one, but we've had others like this before. I operate a small lawn care business with two other people. We are independent contractors and share the duties and profits. We each have our own family health insurance. One partner got bit by a dog a few weeks ago and severely twisted an ankle trying to get away. We're covering for him, but can we recover his lost time and wages? Thank you. Is this a workers' comp question, Michael?
I think, and I'm just going to kind of punt here over to Mike Schafer, I mean, the dog bite, you got a claim against the dog owner?
Quite possibly. It depends on where the dog bite occurred. If it was on the dog owner's property, you may have it if they knew that the dog had dangerous propensities. If the dog didn't, you may have a claim anyway against homeowners policy. Many homeowners policies have medical insurance payments that can cover many of those medical bills. So it just depends on the particular circumstances of that case and what is available.
Another hot topic, if you heard about it in the last week or so, we're talking about food recalls, and we have all kinds of other recalls. Let's talk about the food first. Cargill recalls 36 million pounds of ground turkey. Now, before that, Purina recalled some dry cat food for older cats. Honda recalled more than 2 million cars just in the last week or so, and Hamilton Beach recalls a 2-slice toaster. So recall, yeah, we get emails about them. But Mike, let me ask you, what about someone who gets sick from eating this turkey? Obviously they have a case if someone really has to go to the hospital and feels the pain.
That's correct, but it would depend on what the injuries are. Many times you have a case with simple food poisoning that proving where the food poisoning came from, what food you actually ate is very difficult, and it's not really in your best interest to go forward because the value of the claim is so small. You might be down for a day or two, but in a serious injury where possible death, they definitely have a claim against the food company since they knew this, and they should go forward with it.
Let's talk about another hot topic here. Down in Charlotte, big ruling came out July 19th. A federal jury awarded a family $10 million for tasers. Now, tasers, this is just some video, general video of police tasers. People come in, they rob, they commit crimes, they get tased. So down there in the Charlotte area, a 17-year-old was tased. His family was awarded $10 million. And then a couple days later after that, Charlotte police tased a 21-year-old and he died. Oh, so, wow. I mean, you work criminal defense. You're a former prosecutor with Jefferson County. What about taser guns?
Well, they're a very effective way to control, a violent criminal. And it's a more effective way than having to use a gun, obviously. But there are times when the police do not follow the proper standards of use for that taser. And when that happens, that's when these problems occur of a death, and we have a lawsuit and a verdict such as the one down in South Carolina.
In Charlotte, in North Carolina, So if someone is tased here, or they feel they've been mishandled by the law, I mean, they could call your law office and get information and talk about it.
Absolutely.
And I know Mike said about misusing it. I believe in this 17-year-old case, they said the boy was tased too long. The Charlotte police checked all their tasers out, so there's nothing wrong with the tasers. We're going to keep using them. But there's, like you said, there's a right way and a wrong way to tase somebody.
And if they did use it too long, that was the violation of the procedure and the normal standard of care. And that is the reason why the Charlotte Police Department was found liable in this particular case.
Well, we do have a No Name in Louisville is sending us an email here to the Lawyer Show, and maybe it's no name for a very good reason. Let's talk about this one. I am in my 40s and have an outstanding warrant for assault on me from another state. It was a bar fight and a stupid mistake I made as a young kid in my 20s. I am married, have 2 kids, and a good job. I have no trouble since. I'm afraid if I try to resolve that case, I would lose my job, embarrass my family. Does your legal team have ideas? Well, let me defer to the former Assistant Commonwealth's Attorney in Kentucky. Okay, someone's been a good model citizen, it looks like, for 20 years or so. How does he handle this one?
Well, the first thing he's going to have to do is contact an attorney in whichever state that this crime occurred in. Every state handles things a little bit differently, and you're going to want to talk to a lawyer in that particular state. But if this was a bar fight, it was an assault, which is a felony, there's a warrant out on him, more than likely, in that state, and he is going to want to get that taken care of to make sure that he doesn't get arrested on a traffic stop or something like that, then extradited, which means that he would be taken from Kentucky to the other state. He would have no choice. The bond would then be set in the other state. Judges look at whether or not he voluntarily turns himself in, and that is a big, big factor in what would happen. And the fact that he has been a model citizen for all these years. So I would call an attorney in that particular state and get this squared away.
Well, we do have a No Name in Louisville is sending us an email here to the Lawyer Show, and maybe it's no name for a very good reason. Let's talk about this one. I am in my 40s and have an outstanding warrant for assault on me from another state. It was a bar fight and a stupid mistake I made as a young kid in my 20s. I am married, have 2 kids, and a good job. I have no trouble since. I'm afraid if I try to resolve that case, I would lose my job, embarrass my family. Does your legal team have ideas? Well, let me defer to the former assistant Commonwealth's attorney in Kentucky. Okay, someone's been a good model citizen, it looks like, for 20 years or so. How does he handle this one?
Well, the first thing he's going to have to do is contact an attorney in whichever state that this crime occurred in. Every state handles things a little bit differently, and you're going to want to talk to a lawyer in that particular state. But if this was a bar fight, it was an assault, which is a felony, there's a warrant out on him, more than likely, in that state, and he is going to want to get that taken care of to make sure that he doesn't get arrested on a traffic stop or something like that, then extradited, which means that he would be taken from Kentucky to the other state. He would have no choice. The bond would then be set in the other state. Judges look at whether or not he voluntarily turns himself in, and that is a big, big factor in what would happen. And the fact that he has been a model citizen for all these years. So I would call an attorney in that particular state and get this squared away.
Well, crazy cases time right here on the Lawyer Show. These are cases just we like to throw out there. First one coming up, I'm going to address it to Michael Sullivan because he's in the mood to do this. A woman steals some beef jerky in Fort Myers, Florida. She's 19 years old. She's in a store, convenience store. She puts some beef jerky down inside her clothes, sneaks out of the store. They discover she's allegedly absconded with some beef jerky. They pull over her car with someone else in the car, and they find an oxycodone pill and some drug paraphernalia. So she goes to jail for that. Now, was the beef jerky really worth that much?
Was she charged for
she was
the beef
charged.
jerky?
Well, shoplifting and with the drugs.
19 years old, drugs in the car, just a series of bad events. The interesting thing is, in Kentucky, and former prosecutor here can correct me, the police need a reason to stop that vehicle. And I guess if the reason being suspected of shoplifting, fleeing with beef jerky down her pants, I mean, is that good enough to pull a car over, Mr. Schafer?
It depends, Mike. Probable cause, it just depends on what happened. If the store clerk got the license plate from number and sent that into the police, sure, that's a reason. And then probable cause to pull somebody over can be anything as small as a taillight being out or having your license plate that hasn't been
Well, let's check
updated.
this one out. Now, Mike Schafer's joining us this week. 1990, he opened the Schafer Law Office. Former prosecutor, you handled criminal defense for years. You're focusing mainly now on personal injury. It's important that I say homegrown, but you're from here because you see the lawyers from out of state and you read those little fine print. Here you get homegrown. Isn't that important when you're dealing with people right here?
I think so because you know the individuals in the courthouse, you know the clerks, you know the doctors that are working, you know who does good work, who does bad work, and that's real important. And it's easy enough this day and age to do research on your attorney. With the internet, you can Google anybody's name and find out exactly what kind of attorney that person is and what kind of information is on them. So I really suggest people do their homework prior to going to see any attorney.
Well, auto accidents, wrongful death cases, falls, construction, other personal injury, give the Mike Schafer Law Office a call. And if you want a good book, we promote his book all the time because we like to do it, Social Security Disability. 7 potholes that can wreck your Kentucky accident case. This is a book in the Mike Schafer Law Office. He's going to give it to you. He's going to give it to you. Call the number you see up on your screen. It is his office number, 502-565-4100. He'll send it to you free. I mean, you get in an automobile accident, you need to know what to do. Just put it in your glove compartment, right?
Well, that's exactly it. That is a ton of information, so you know your rights, you know what's going to be happening in the course of the case, and we give them away for free. Either call the office if you're not comfortable calling that number. Go to kyaccidentbook.com and there's a simple form to fill out and we'll send you your free copy.